Welcome to part 2 of this week's instalment of Nobody Gets Out of Here Alive. My name is Holly Leon Hawke, and I will be taking you on a gentle, sometimes humorous and sometimes challenging meander through the myths, beliefs and ideas around all things end of and after life. Each week you will get to hear what various people's random thoughts are on the big question: what is the meaning of life? If you would like to share your thoughts, please send your voice clips into me via WhatsApp, and I'll do my very best to include them. Also, each week there will be a section called Give the Flowers Now, which was inspired by my darling maternal grandfather, Roderick George Balcombe, who would say, "Don't leave it until the funeral to send flowers. Send people flowers now, telling them what they mean to you and how they have touched your lives." And I would love to hear from you. So if you have some flowers that you would like to send someone, please send me your voice clip telling me who it is and how they have touched your lives, along with your name, email address, and the name and home address of the person you are sending your flowers to. For each person who is featured, I will send some beautiful flowers to that person on your behalf. In this series of podcasts, I will be chatting with a whole range of guests, from sound artists, willow weavers, through to end-of-life doulas, and people who have had near-death experiences, to help give you a more holistic, rounded view. It just may be a few new possibilities of how the inevitable can be approached, because remember, no one, not even you, gets out of here alive. Did you have any religious or spiritual beliefs?
I didn't do, no. But both my parents were Christian, and so when we were kids, I used to go to church when I was really young with the family, and I didn't really feel comfortable with it, actually, and I didn't get it. And so my parents were very liberal. I said, look, I don't really enjoy this. And they said, that's fine, you can stay at home. So I used to stay at home on Sundays and stuff. So I wasn't atheist, but I just didn't follow any faiths at all. So no. I mean, I had an interesting incident where I was, just by chance, I bumped into some people on the train, and a couple of months prior to my accident, and they were telling me about this medium that was happening in the town where my sister lives, because I was going to visit them. And I wasn't really interested, but this lady insisted on giving me this flyer, and she said, come along, she's great. And something drew me that night to go. And when I did go, I got picked out at the end, and it was incredible, because it was quite intense, because all the other people, they're saying, I've got your grandfather. Does he like watches, or does he like sort of repairing shoes and stuff? They go, yes. And I wasn't looking for anything at all, actually. But she turned around and she said, gentleman in the blue sweater, your life is about to change. And I went, oh, great. I thought, what's this, a lottery winning, or, and so she said, I said, what's going to happen then? She was like talking. She was going, yes, fine. I know. And then she turned around to me. She said, they're not telling me. They're just saying it's going to be big and be ready for it. But you'll be protected. And so,
wow.
So I thought, wow. I look back on it now and I think that was a precursor of what was about to happen.
Incredible.
So of course I had to find that church afterwards, once I was well enough. Yeah.
And you found her, didn't you, in the end?
Yes, I did do. Yeah. I tracked down. Yeah. I couldn't remember where the actual church was, because it doesn't look like a church. It's just like a doorway in an alley in this beautiful old Victorian alleyway. And I just finally discovered it one day with my sister, and people were going in as I saw it. I said, this is it, this is the place. And there was a service going on. So I sat through the service, and then I talked all about how I said, I want to track down this medium.
Yeah. I bet she was pretty interested by what you had to tell her.
No, do you know what she was? But she wasn't. There's something about what it was great finding the spiritualist church, because it's almost like they knew. When I talked about it, they were going, "Oh yeah, they were going. It's amazing. You were very lucky. Where you went to the realm that you went to. It's very special." And they taught and helped me to understand a lot more about it. But yeah, no, she was good. She said, "Look, I want to give you a card reading, and I don't want to charge you. I want to give you a free reading," which is great. So that was
how lovely. How lovely.
Yes, it was brilliant.
So you're lying on your slab on your altar in
on my altar. Yeah.
And now you're actually, isn't it right? You slowly become aware that you're actually in the universe and you can see
That's right. Eventually, I
stars and
realised I'm no.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not. I realised that I'm no longer in a darkened space at
Mm,
all, and in fact, I wasn't in the first place. It's just that my field of vision started to open up, and
mm,
yeah, it was at the point where I started thinking about my family, because I started thinking, oh, they were already torn apart about what had happened. They're going to be
mm,
really upset now because clearly I'm dead, is what I figured. So
mm.
I thought I'd look over the edge of this big rock, hoping to see them, which I didn't. But when I did look down, I saw this incredible sight. It was like a huge waterfall of stars. It was like a huge arc, and there's all these millions of stars cascading over the edge and sparkling, and then there were shooting stars dropping through the middle. And I thought, wow, this is remarkable. I thought,
Gosh.
I'm actually in the universe here. I'm not in this small room. And when I looked down, it was like, again, my field of vision kept opening up, and I could see from one galaxy into another, and it was going into infinity. And there was all these beautiful colors, like nebulas that were down in the bottom of this kind of waterfall. It was just tremendous.
Really? And
Yeah.
is it a bit like you'd see on Star Trek or something like that, where they go into hyperspace or nothing like that?
Brilliant. No, that's very good. Yeah,
Really?
it
Yeah.
was. Yeah, it's very otherworldly. I mean, it's very much like. I mean, now I'm very fascinated by the universe. I watch many TV programs now, and anything that's about it, like astronauts in particular. These guys have been to the moon. I mean, they're the top scientists of all scientists to be able to get that job.
Mm,
Let's face it. So you wouldn't think that they'd be thinking spiritual at all, but they
mm,
were. A lot of these guys were talking about when they're on the moon itself, how they felt about the universe and staring back at the earth.
mm,
And they became quite spiritually enlightened. Quite a lot of them came out with some really profound stuff,
mm,
which was really great for me to hear that,
mm,
because it made me realize that I feel that the universe, we're part of the universe, very much so,
mm,
and
mm.
it guides us, and it guides all the animal kingdom and nature itself, doesn't it? All the
Mm.
seasons.
Yeah.
There's birds that come flying from Egypt every single year and land at the same spot in front of my window on the meadow, and then they've just had some chicks, and they do that every single year because they're guided by the universe.
That
So
is
why not us?
incredible, isn't it? It's
It
amazing.
is, yeah.
Yeah, and so profound actually to be able to go. I mean, gosh, I mean the amount of people that when they're young they want to be an astronaut, especially young boys, don't they? And
Yes.
to go and explore
Yeah.
and but you got to do it not in your physical body, but your what would you call it? Your astral body, your spiritual
Well,
body.
I would call it my the pure form of my soul, really, is basically what it
Mm,
is. But
mm.
because that's how it felt, because it felt like it was me that was in this other realm. It was definitely me, David, that was
Yes,
there, my
yeah.
character. But uh, all the sort of, like I said earlier, all the baggage no longer existed. Time didn't exist anymore. I stopped thinking about the past and all past mistakes I'd made and
Mm.
how I could have made that better. And I stopped thinking about the future, worrying about what was going to happen in the future. I was in the present moment, and it was a brilliant place to be. And it was brilliant not to feel guilt or shame
Yeah.
or disappointment in myself and all those different things.
Yeah. Do you
So yeah.
know, I'm doing an experiment that a friend told me to do. I've seen it being done, but I've never done it myself, where you get 3 jars and you put the same amount of cress seeds in each one, and
Yeah.
then the same amount of water, and one you mark and you give love to it every day. So they're in exactly the same place, and you go, "Oh, I love you," and you hold it to your heart, and then the next one along you ignore it, and then the next one you have to put hate into it. Which I found really difficult because my
I
son
bet you did.
Harvey, as
I
you
can't
know,
imagine you doing that at all.
no, I know. When I would do it, I'd get up in the morning and Harvey'd be sitting there and I'd start trying to, and I'd look around. He would be laughing his head off. I'd have to put it down because I'm not feeling any hate. I tell you what, it is remarkable the
Yeah.
difference. Actually, doing it yourself really does. It's brought home to me the power of our intentions, but to ourselves. So like you know, I've gosh spent like so many people wasted so much time worrying about, am I a good person? Have I hurt someone? Have, you know, guilt, shame, all of this. And then you just think, well, what on earth is that doing to us at a cellular level? And actually, what could we be if we actually were, I love you? You know, I mean,
Yes,
that's
I
just
know.
remarkable,
Exactly.
isn't it?
Yeah,
So when you're
it
lying there,
is. Yeah.
could you, did you have wounds? Could you still, or were you
No, no, there's no,
completely
no, there was
healed?
none. Completely healed,
Completely
everything. I
healed.
mean, like I said, my arm had been severed initially, and
Yeah.
I'd seen that. I'd seen it completely ripped open as well
God,
straight after the accident. But everything, not even a scratch, and
that's
so it's like,
incredible.
yeah. So you know, again, I guess that's because I was in the pure essence of my soul.
Mm,
That the body that I was in was not. There was no injuries to it because obviously physical injuries also affect us emotionally as
mm,
well. So I guess that's why
mm.
those didn't no longer existed.
Amazing.
Um, but yeah, so I should tell you about the waterfall of stars that I saw because you were
Mm,
asking me about the universe, and that's when I realised I was in the universe itself. Because as I looked over the edge of this huge rock that was laid on, I was looking to find my family because they were obviously, you know, they were really upset about what had happened in the hospital. So I figured they'd be very torn apart now. So when I looked over the edge, I thought I would see them, but I didn't. And what I saw was like a huge waterfall of stars. It was like the size of Niagara,
mm.
and instead of like tons of water cascading over the edge, it was millions of stars just sparkling and you know, just dropping over the edge with shooting stars falling through the middle. And you know, I ended up looking through all these different what appeared to be one galaxy after another, and going into infinity and into beautiful colors and nebulas. Um,
Absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it was. It was a beautiful sight because that's when I felt like at one with the universe because I felt this is
Mm,
great. I love being here. You know,
mm.
it's a really beautiful place to be. I was going to say beautiful atmosphere, but obviously there isn't one.
Yeah.
but and
Have you managed to capture in your paintings that the waterfalls of stars?
I've done well. I put it in one of my paintings actually, and
Mm,
it's in one of the paintings I did where I was being greeted. I was laid out on the slate rock, and I was being
mm.
greeted with the first being of light, and then I had the waterfall of stars to my left. So my hands kind of like opening out as to say, look at this, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Wow.
yeah, but I do want to do another one actually. I'd like to do one that shows more because these paintings that I do, it's important for me to get them just right because to me, I talk. It's almost like I want everyone to see what I saw. I want it to be like a polarized, you
Mm,
know, image of that, you know. And it's not always easy to capture that and just get it right, but I'm sure I will.
mm.
Um, but the most important thing that I should talk about that I saw in the universe itself was the tunnel of white light itself, and that happened. I felt it before I saw it because I was laid out again, and you know, enjoying all this beautiful energy that was coming off the three beings of light, you know,
Mm.
and I felt like this energy of love that was coming through was suddenly turned up, and the energy was just making my body feeling like it was vibrating with this beautiful love. And I thought, what's going on? So I looked, and there was just ahead of my feet behind the androgynous being was this huge tunnel of white light that was closing in on me. And that tunnel of white light, again, had this same brightness and whiteness to it, but it was far more intense. And the energy of it was so intense. That's why I felt this sudden change. And it was very dramatic because it was like surrounded by all these flames that were slowly circulating around this tunnel itself. But as it closed in on me, I just knew I was being told that what I was staring at here was the source of all creation. You know, this
Wow.
was God, or what have you. You know, this was not whatever religion or
Mm,
faith any of us have. God or whatever the creator is normally in human form. You know,
mm.
like Michelangelo's image on the ceiling of the Vatican. But no, this was God. This was this huge tunnel of white light with this energy of love that was vibrating from it. So it was very, intense
Energy
and
of
powerful.
love vibrating from it. How
Mm,
gorgeous. And that
that's
love,
good, yeah.
David, is there
Yeah.
anything that you can liken that energy to for people who haven't had an experience such as yours?
Well, it's funny actually because I always described the love that I was feeling as being like an accumulation of all the different types of love I'd had in my life. For example, say the love of my family, my
Mm,
mother, what have you. As a child, the love of my partners that I'd had in my life that
mm,
and that first moment when you fall in love with
mm,
somebody, it's really intense, isn't it? It's
mm.
really wow, this
Yeah.
is great. You're walking around and everything, the whole world is suddenly a brighter place.
Mm,
So it's like all those different feelings of love, or even the love you get from your pets.
mm.
That's unconditional love, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know that they love you outright. So it was unconditional love, but it stayed with me, that love. When I came back back into my sort of my pain body or whatever,
Mm.
that love was with me, and it was with me throughout all the period that I was recovering in hospital, and even when I was at home recovering, I could feel that energy was still direct. It's like I've got an umbilical cord still attached to this other realm. So yeah, that
How
was very strong.
amazing. So you were being looked after. So what stopped you? What stopped you going into the tunnel?
I've no idea. I wasn't me who made any decisions. I didn't say, right, I'm not going into that tunnel, or right, I'm going back.
Mm,
I was sent back, and it was pretty much at the point where I felt like I got all the information I needed, which was that first of all, that I was loved,
mm,
and secondly, that I wasn't a failure, and
mm,
but the most important one actually was the just seeing this source of all creation, and it that stayed with me. So my faith now is a heck of a lot stronger than what it was before. Even though I said I rejected the idea of going to church, now I'm very you know I still don't go to church actually, but apart from I go for spiritual healing, and
mm.
that is my church, if you like, because when I go there, it's like going into a beautiful meditative state, and then I touch base with the universe. I touch base with God. I touch base
Mm,
with all that help that I got there. So,
mm. Oh, amazing. So you're lying there, the light's coming towards you, and
yeah.
then is it like within a blink of an eye, you're back in your body?
Totally, yeah. It
Right.
just happened so quick, I just, it was like coming crashing back to earth, going from that peaceful,
Yeah.
sort of beautiful place, and the hospital suddenly the contrast seemed really. It was like kind of overload. It was
Yeah.
kind of like it was like wow, I couldn't handle the noise, and
Mm,
I couldn't handle the fluorescent light and all the artificial light. Everything was just like too much
mm,
to deal with at
mm.
first, but a lot of people say, "Oh, you must have been really, disappointed being sent back." And I said, "No, I wasn't at all, because I was just, as I say, I was still filled with all this love
Right.
that I just said to myself, wow, that was amazing. What was that about? And why have they sent me back? What is my mission?
Mm,
There must be a reason for me to come back,"
mm,
which stayed with me, still with me.
mm,
You still feel like there's a sense of, right, I was sent back for a reason, and,
mm.
and I've got to find out what that reason is. So,
Do you not
yeah.
think the reason is just to share what you've experienced, to help give people hope and belief that there is something more than just this physical life?
Oh yes, I've realised that now.
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure at the beginning.
Mm.
I'd never even heard of a near-death experience before
Had you
this.
not? So it was
No,
so you
so
must have
there was
wondered
this.
what on earth. But not literally
Yeah,
on earth, but yeah, incredible if you'd never even heard of one before.
I'd never even heard of one. So when I first came, because they wheeled me into theatre straight after, and I was in under for about 8 hours, and then they given me my own room in the hospital, which was great. So I got time. I remember waking up about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was there throughout the night, and I could hardly sleep.
Mm,
And I was contemplating what had just happened, and I thought, how am I going to tell everybody about this? And I was scared I was going to forget everything.
mm,
So I thought straight away, right, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a painting, and then I'm going to do a huge painting, like the big Renaissance style ones you
mm,
see in Rome, like the big biblical
mm,
scenes. That's got to be how I'm going to paint it, so that people will get it. And I'd never done anything like that before, but it didn't matter. I thought that's my first task. And so, yeah, my sister came to visit me. I remember the very, one of the first nights, and she was sat there and she said very quietly, "Is there anything I can get you? What do you need?" And I said, "Yeah, can you get me like a small sketch pad and a pencil?" And she was going, "Okay," So, and I got the nurses to prop me up because I could hardly move. I got all these tubes coming at me, but I just managed to do a rough sketch of what I'd seen, and when I do all these little sketches, so I thought, right, that's there now. So if anything happens now, and I forget it, which I never have forgotten it, of course, but
does it still feel like it was yesterday that it happened, or has it dimmed a little bit?
No, it hasn't dimmed at all. That's the interesting thing about it, because it's not like it's ultra real. It's not like it's as real as I'm sat here now in this room, like chatting to you. But it's not like a dream state either. It's so with dreams, they become more chaotic and they kind of fade with time, or the storyline changes. Whereas with a near-death experience, it's ultra real. So it constantly stays with you, and every time I talk about it, it's like I'm actually almost like reliving it as well. So it never becomes something that I never tire of talking about it, because it's just so important for me to be able to talk. And I feel really grateful that somebody like yourself will ask me to come and chat about it, because I just want people to be able to hear,
And it's amazing talking to you, because it does, there is a sense of, I can almost feel some of it, just by talking to you. It's amazing, that kind of energetic connection, which is lovely. And so you came back with some gifts that you didn't have previous to this.
That's right.
So firstly, it was your ability to paint. You've created the most beautiful pictures.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely incredible. And you say you never did before?
No, that's right. I mean, when I was a child, I enjoyed painting and drawing at school, but I was never encouraged to take it any further, because I wasn't ever diagnosed with being dyslexic, but they just thought I was lazy, and I get awful school reports, and everybody just thought that I was not interested anyhow. So they were trying to get me to go and work in the local factory, and I didn't really want to do that. But anyhow, I was never encouraged, so that was the end of that. But now the painting that I'm doing is just like, it's a scale where people who are artists themselves have seen my stuff online, and they'll write to me and say that, look, I've been trained, I've done a foundation course and I've done history of art, and your work is like at that level. But the reason it is at that level is because I realized straight away, once I started the very first painting, was that I was channeling ideas through. I was being helped by this other realm. I was being given like a crash course in how to put colors onto a canvas, how to bring skin tones alive. I'd be very brave. I'd be doing things like, I'd be painting a skin tone, then I'd suddenly feel inclined just to throw like some blue into the color, which is mad. And it's like, yeah, it works.
Really?
So yes, it does. Give it a go. So all these different things were teaching me to be brave and just try. And I've always painted big. I've always done nice big canvases. I've since that idea of doing them large and stuff, I enjoy that. So yeah. So it's been amazing. But the music that came along a bit later on, but that's even more profound, because I mean, in terms of music, I've got no classical training whatsoever, as you pointed out at the very beginning. And even people I've met since who work in orchestras have said to me, I said, "Oh, you must have composed stuff for yourself." And they said, "No, I wouldn't even dream of starting to compose a piece of music. It's such a huge task." But it happened. I was being helped to bring music alive, and a lot of my paintings, a lot of my music is all about my near-death experience and the after effects of it as well. So I realized that it's helping me tell my story through art and music, because it helps people to be able to get a glimpse into what I saw and what I felt, and through both mediums.
And that's key, isn't it? It's being able to have some form of experiential connection with what you're trying to portray, isn't it, to people? Because if you've never had anything like that, but music is so emotive, art is very emotive, and you put the two
Yeah.
together, and it's incredible. And the music that you've created is unbelievably beautiful, and I will put it with this podcast so people can hear. But I think we're nearing the end, David. But if people want to buy your book is called Shine On, and
right.
it's available through Amazon, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's probably your best bet is to order it through Amazon. It's everywhere throughout the world. It's selling in all different countries
Is
now.
it
So you'll
really?
be able to. Yeah. Oh god. Yeah. We're getting like really fantastic, well received reviews.
Wonderful.
In Australia, America, Canada, Singapore. It's just
Fantastic.
I'm really, and it's coming out. In French as well, with Hachette have just bought the rights to it, and so that's going to be
Lovely.
the next thing. So that'll be released. I don't know how long that takes. It's being translated at the moment, but they're very excited about it, which is great.
Yeah.
So I was really touched. So I'm very much looking forward to that part of the journey as
Wonderful.
well. Yeah.
Well, it's been well worth all the hard work of putting it together, because it is hard work putting a book together, isn't it? And you never quite know how it's going to be received. But your experience is so, it's mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing.
Oh, thank you, Holly.
Yeah, I just the courage actually that I've spoken to you before about this in your within the book. You write with such sensitivity and such almost a sense of vulnerability. You're very open about who you are and where you were, which it just really helps connect people with you, and actually how important this whole experience has been in your life. And I will ask just one last question. I do know the answer because I've asked you this before, but if you could go back in time and not have been dragged under the train, not had that experience, would you?
No, I would not change a thing at all. So it's because it's one of the most important things that's happened in my life, and it's such a, my life is more three-dimensional now than what it was before, and I always say as well that out of all adversity comes new life, new growth. So yeah. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, and I don't think that everyone should have to go through a near-death experience or even a train accident, to reach all these different things.
Absolutely,
you can reach them anyhow.
Yeah. David, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
A pleasure. Me too.
All right, thank you.
Great, thanks, Holly.
So this week, I would like to give the flowers now to somebody who literally changed my life and my son's life beyond all recognition, really. His name is Robert James, and he too is a master NLP practitioner. And I truly believe he is like an earth angel to my son. Quite a few years ago now, my son was very, very seriously ill and was really, really struggling and finding life very, very difficult. And in popped Rob into our lives, and who took Harvey under his wing and worked with Harvey, not just once, over 3 days, but a second time. And he even, when I was working, he came to pick Harvey up. He came all the way from abroad to help Harvey. We didn't know Rob before this, and I have no relationship with Rob other than we stumbled across him. We were recommended to him, and the difference he made to my son's life and to my life is, I can never ever thank him enough. He literally, I feel, saved my son's life. So Rob, I don't know if you fully comprehend the magnitude of the kindness that you bestowed upon us during that time. And I can't even begin to put into words how grateful I am for your support and your kindness that you have shown, Harvey, ongoing. So thank you, Rob James, and I give you the flowers now. Thank you. So that's all for now, and I would like to say a very big thank you for being brave enough to dare to listen to a podcast that talks about something we, as a nation, tend to prefer. Doesn't exist, doesn't apply to our lives. But no, it does. No one gets out of here alive, and being more aware and engaged helps us all to have a more positive experience when the time does come to either us or our family, friends and pets. If you'd like to subscribe, please visit www.hollyleonhawke.com.